Hi everyone, and welcome back to another crafting video. In today's video, we're gonna learn how to sublimate on phone cases. Now remember, for this project, you specifically need phone cases that are meant for sublimation. You can find these on almost any selling platform. I bought mine off of Amazon, and these phone cases make a great gift for any loved ones and for any holiday really. So let's get started on our project. For this project, we're going to be using the 120 grams sublimation transfer paper. This is my absolute favorite paper to use when working with any sublimation project, whether it's to show you guys a video or to work on my personal projects. One of the big reasons why I like to use it is because of the back. It's easy to identify what side is going to be printed on and what side isn't. A lot of the times it's very lightly labeled and you can barely tell. So with teckwrapcraft transfer paper, you don't make that mistake. And now we have our sublimation case. This sublimation case is one that I found on Amazon. However, you can find them on any selling platform. And it's a basic silicone case, but the actual part that you sublimate on is this metal plate. This metal plate you're going to remove, and it does have a plastic sealant protectant, so you're going to want to remove that. Next is my favorite tool for sublimation, and that is my heat resistant tape dispenser. This makes things so much easier, and we have also our Cricut handheld heat press. Today I'm going to share with you guys the sublimation ink that I use for my projects. I use Cosmos ink, and I believe that the Cosmos ink and the teckwrapcraft sublimation transfer paper work very well together, and it makes the perfect pair to create a wonderful, vibrant project. As for many of my sublimation projects, I work over on Canva, so I'm going to show you guys the measurements that I have. I have width set at 3.2 and height 6.25. These are the measurements for the specific case that I'm using, and it's the size for an iPhone 15 Pro Max. So I'm going to be using and playing around with these images of a van that I traveled in across the country, and I want to have a memory of that. So I'm going to play around with some images and some image options that I have. Now that I have placed the image basically where I want my image to be for the phone case, I'm actually going to take a square and roughly size out where the cutout for the camera on the sublimation plate is. So I'm just kind of eyeballing the size here, and I like to do this because I want my template to be as accurate as possible. So as you can see, it cuts out a good amount of the front part of the van, and I don't want that. So I may have to choose another image because it might not work out for this project. After playing around with some images, I found some that I like and would actually work out for this project. So I noticed that images that work for this kind of project actually needs spacing on both sides, and the object that you want on the case is in the middle of the photo. That way you don't have anything cut out. However, I really liked the second page of this project. I'm just going to go ahead and flip it vertically. Whenever you have a sublimation project, you're going to want to make sure before you print that you flip everything vertically. And now it's time to load up the paper. So since we now know that we are not printing on the teckwrapcraft side, we're gonna load the paper with the plain side facing us. To protect my surfaces a little more, I'm going to go ahead and place down a wooden cutting board that I use for my craft projects. That way I'm making sure that I'm not damaging my actual desk. Now that we have everything printed out, I'm going to go ahead and just play around and see how much room I have for spacing. So the reason why you want to flip everything vertically is that because when you press it, it's actually going to be right side up and be printed the way your original image is. So now here I'm going to cut my image out. I don't necessarily need to cut directly on the edge, and I really don't want to, just in case I nick a little bit too much of the image and I'm going to have to reprint everything. So I definitely recommend just cutting a little bit outside of the image just for safekeeping. Now that I confirm that the image is the right size and it's going to be able to fit the way I want it, I'm going to go ahead and peel off the protective layer. I know it's clear and hard to see, but it's always very helpful to scratch at the protective layer from the corner like I did. That way you are getting it off much easier. I just wanted to bring you guys in a little bit closer so you can see how I am taping my metal plate to the sublimated image. So I'm just going to place the tape on the back side so I make sure that I'm taping the image and the case together. In this case, I could have used a little bit more tape, but thankfully what I put ended up working. Sometimes I'd rather use a lot of tape than to mess up a whole entire project. So I ended up also cutting out a piece of butcher paper in order to also protect my wooden cutting board from any excess sublimation ink. And you're going to see that it was actually a really good idea because the ink does come out from the edges and where the camera spot is. It does come out onto the butcher paper. So I'm going to be pressing it a few times and even changing the duration of how long I'm pressing it. It's hard to tell, but I'm putting a lot of force down because with these kinds of projects, you need to be able to put as much pressure as you can to ensure that the picture is going to be transferred correctly. So now that I'm all done pressing, you can see how the image is just stamped onto the butcher paper, and also you can see the outline of the case. That means that we've actually pressed it a good bit. And now I'm peeling away the sublimation transfer paper and it looks so good. You can see how much ink is left over on the paper, and it's not a lot, especially when you're comparing it to the surrounding area where it wasn't really pressed. And I think it looks so good. I love how it turned out. It's time to bring over our device and the second part to this case. So this white protective layer is actually a layer for protecting the adhesive on the back. So you're going to want to pull away also from the edge, and as you can see, this reveals the adhesive. And you're going to want to make sure that when you're placing your metal plate down, it is secured against the camera square, because I tend to find that is a good way to align it. And I'm just pressing down on the edges and going down the middle to make sure everything is all good. And just like that, we have the perfect case for our new phone. Thank you guys so much for following along with me on this tutorial. And if you liked this video, please go ahead and give it a like. And if you would like to see more tutorials like these, go ahead and follow and subscribe to our YouTube channel. Bye!